If you please join us in prayer and pledge.
Please bow your head in honor of Memorial Day. Almighty God, let us pause to pay tribute to our dearly departed. Let us honor the memory of the valiant servicemen and women who made the supreme sacrifice so that we may live in a country that is free. May they rest in peace, keep their families in your good graces. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And to kind of echo Doug's comment about Memorial Day, if you have not seen the Memorial Day concert at the Capitol grounds area, it is recorded on YouTube, and I would encourage you to watch it and listen to it. It's about an hour and a half. It's very well done, and it's been going on for 35 years, so you can actually look on YouTube for some of the ones in the past. So some really interesting comments. That brings us to our first public comment. I'll read our rule. A member of the public may address the board after receiving recognition from the chairperson and giving his or her name. Public comment shall be limited to a period set aside at each meeting for such purpose, and each speaker shall have the floor for no longer than 5 minutes unless the board grants an extension. Board of Commissioner Rules of Procedures and Bylaws 5.13-3. We also ask you to be respectful. Public comment is open. Bob? Good morning.
Good morning, Mark. This place I have out on US 12, Scipio Township, I've entertained a sort of a veterans place that would be accommodating to several ideas that we've had, kind of growing. The Shriners is sort of a little bit in there as well. Anyway, you know, we have emotional dogs in the need of and some, and this is going to be a project. I've been kind of engaged with Renee at the vet downstairs here, and trying to see what I need to do as far as accommodations. So that's one of the other purposes of that, is also the property that I have. I'm trying to get a little bit coordinated here with DHS as well, so that some of the things I'm asking for is the habitat, you know, that we have up in Jackson to help with a little bit of the interiors, just to see if it would be suitable. I've got a few things in line that I've got to accomplish, and it's going to take a little while to do. But my nephew, if anything should happen in you know what happens to me, that my nephew has, you know, come forward and said he would help with carrying on with what I would like to have done. Other than that, what I would like to say that, and most importantly, is from the last time we were talking about people entering our courts, you know, for public. We have everything to look at, that MCL, and you know, that also goes to the lawsuit stuff that's happening now with I think it's for Stephanie Scott and out of North Adams. Importantly, you know, I don't want to see, and I think, Mark, you need to take a strong look at what Mike that you came up with, and I've read Benzing as well, that implicates our Chief Justice into a little bit of a coordination, and I think you need to strongly take a look at what took place. Other than that, I think this goes out to John Smith. I think he's out there someplace and listening. I sure would like to know what you did with my four-wheeler once I was put in. I think a couple people know about where that went, as well as you know, the property. You know, it's unbelievable how it went. But anyway, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address us at this time? There will be a second public comment towards the end of the meeting. All right, moving right along, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Support.
Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Correspondence is listed. Comments on correspondence?
I will have comments on a few of those when it gets to my report time, so,
Okay.
and I'll have a question for Commissioner Engels on one.
I will have comments on some of those items myself.
All right. Anything else? Entertain a motion to move or approve the regular agenda.
Motion to approve the regular agenda as presented.
Support.
Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Regular agenda is approved. That brings us up to our standing order. And I think we'll start with Renee, if you'd like to come forward and introduce yourself, and then we'll let Vicki and Tracy take over. Renee is our new director at DHHS, so you have the floor.
Good morning. Thank you. My name is Renee Villegas. You might have seen it as Gonzalez, but I got married not too long ago. So I'm taking all those steps you have to take to, but it's legally changed
Give us
now.
the spelling on that, Renee.
Villegas, Villegas.
Thank you.
I've worked for the department for about 25 and a half years. I actually started my career working in Branch Hillsdale counties long ago as a CPS worker and worked in children's services in a variety of positions over the years. So I'm very pleased to be back and looking forward to working with everyone in the counties again.
Well, you'll get to run your first meeting or be part of your first meeting for Hillsdale County on Thursday.
Yes.
So-
Yes.
Yeah, well, I'll see you on Thursday then.
See you then. Thank
Okay.
you.
Now we'll get into the meat of the... Go ahead, Vicki. And we'll follow up with the resolution that is under Brent's.
I did make some packets.
Yep, if you want to pass stuff out, Tracy. Thank you. If you recall, there's been some discussion on the budget and the budget amendment for DHS, and so that's why I had Vicki and Tracy come to explain. So go ahead.
I'm Vicki Himstein, the program manager at Department of Health and Human Services. This is Tracy Croft, our office manager. Basically, we're here just wanting to ask for some reconsideration regarding the budget for the board for the Hillsdale DHHS office. What we were budgeted this year was $25,000, which we appreciate. In prior years, we've either been budgeted $30,000 or $25,000, but been allowed to keep that carryover from the prior year. So we're requesting to have either that carryover or a little bit more budgeted, because when we look at our anticipated expenses for 2024, it's $27,195. That amount is obviously more than $25,000. We also recognize that that gets us only what we are anticipating. There's no discretionary funds in there for the board, but we'd ask for at least that much additional, the $2,195, over the $25,000 that's already been budgeted. We provided you a packet that shows the 2022 budget as well as the 2023 and our current 2024 with the current expenditures on it as well for your comparison.
And I'm really the one, I guess, that asked you ladies to come and present to us.
Okay.
Guilty as
Tell us
charged.
what you'd like to know about, and we'll be happy
Okay.
to try to answer.
So the county makes a appropriation, a general fund appropriation to your department fund budget every year. Like you said, yes, in the past, we had in past years, we had made an appropriation of 30,000, go back to 2022, that county appropriation was only 18,000 because we used up some of your fund balance. What all does this department do with those funds? I know it pays part of the salary for the board members that serve on the
Human Services.
DHS board
The
and
medical
the,
care.
medical care facility board, because part of it's paid by the medical care, part of it's paid by, but what else are you doing with all of those funds? And I say all of those funds, it is, this year our appropriation was 22.5. We set an expenditure amount of 25. That did leave some, fund balance there, so, great.
Absolutely. Well, first, there's the dues that are for the board, for the MCSSA annual dues, as well as the HSN dues for them to participate in those groups or committees. Additionally, we have a volunteer services coordinator, so she helps provide service for people who need transportation to medical appointments that Medicaid doesn't cover. She helps coordinate those with volunteer drivers, processes all that paperwork. So that's a contract we have that's $15,000. And then we have the MRS match, which is for our Michigan Rehabilitation Services. They have always requested, and we've done it for several years now, where they request this $2,700. They get matching funds up to $10,000, and that money is spent on Hillsdale County residents and services for them that need rehabilitation services to gain employment. And that's all spent within the county. It doesn't go outside of the county. And then there's Operation Good Cheer, which is a program that helps fund the fee. It's $30 per child to another agency to provide Christmas for foster children. So the $12.50 provides for 40 children as well as the administrative participation fee. So each child, when they're in this program, we spend $30 for each child. They get anywhere from, I'd say, $100 to $150 worth of gifts, and probably well exceeds that based on seeing those gifts come in. Each child gets 3 gifts, I'd say 3 packages. There's usually more than 3 gifts. Those items are flown in to the local airport in December, or they bring them in on a truck if the weather's not conducive. Unfortunately, we've had trucks. It's much more fun when we get a bunch of planes that come in and we make a real event of it. Anything more specific I can give you any of those?
And I know we've had a little question on the HSN dues, because the county pays an HSN fee as well. So we need to make sure we communicate with that, because I know the Human Services Network has a discounted rate for other agencies that are funded from another member of the Human Services Network. So I don't believe we both need to be paying the full Human Services Network
We used to
dues.
pay the $250 and now we pay the $125.
But the Human Services Network cut their dues rate. And there's a lower rate even than the 125.
Then the $125?
Okay.
Yes. So that's something that we need to make sure that we communicate with.
We can reach out to the, and get the new information.
And, okay, so the MRS, Medical Rehabilitation Services, and you said we put in 2,700 and the state kicks in 10 grand?
They get it gives them a total of 10, so ours is the matching funds. They get a total of 10,000 that's spent on Hillsdale County. And I believe that may not all be from our agency, from the state. I believe it comes from other agencies, which is part of that matching funds. I did ask for a little more information, but they weren't able to get it back to me by this morning, just so I could give you more details on how many were served or the specific services, but I'm happy to send that over as soon as I get it.
And that match has stayed pretty consistent over the last 3-4 years.
Yes, they usually come at least once a year to one of the board meetings and do a presentation
Right.
on how many they've served and the services they provided in the county.
Okay. That answers my question.
Okay? You want to go right into that resolution?
Unless, I don't know if any other commissioners
Is
have,
there any other questions for Vicki or Tracy?
I believe I'm right after them, so
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I will go into that resolution 24-072 to the Honorable Board of Commissioners, whereas the Hillsdale County MDHHS latest 2024 expenditure projection totals $26,178.92, and whereas $25,000 has been budgeted in Special Revenue Fund 290, Department of Human Services for these expenditures, and whereas increase in the Hillsdale County MDHHS Fund 290 budget allocation from to $26,178.92 does not require an increase in the county's general fund allocation for fiscal year 24. Therefore, be it resolved, the Hillsdale County Board of Commissioners approves a budget amendment to increase budget line 290-670.00-835.03 to $26,178.92, respectfully submitted. Brent A. Leininger, Chair Budget Committee, and I move for adoption.
I second.
I would question the number, Brett, and I know the number that I brought back and shared with you and Derek was 27,195, which is what Tracy just presented to us. So the 26,000 number doesn't match.
That is the number that Derek had come up with.
I know Derek's been involved in that circle of emails with Tracy and I, so I guess I would really question the 26 number.
I'm sorry, what was the number you gave out?
27,195, it'd be on the 5th page of what you've got there, Steve. Which is the budget for 2024. That's the 5th page of what Tracy handed us.
And again, on that, it can be, we routinely do budget amendments throughout the year, but it can still be amended even from that figure without any additional county allocation. But again, that was the resolution that Mr. Ringman had prepared and sent over to the clerk's office.
How do you wish to proceed? Do you want to do that one now and then bring back another one, or do you want to put this one?
Well, again, we can do another budget amendment later in the year when we do other budget amendments as well.
Okay. We'll get some of it now and the rest of it later, Tracy.
Okay,
So,
just continue my tally.
there you go. 26 is better than 25, so we'll keep working on it. Any other discussion on resolution 24-072?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Doug.
just that in 22 and 23, the consistent number allocated has been 33,746, and 33,283. And, we've got a substantial drop for 24. I understand it's from the carryover, but do they live on 33 or do they live on 27?
Tracy, can you answer that?
27,195 is gonna just be the base. If there's anything extra, I've taken it all away. I've taken the fees down to the lowest, so 27,195. That's the minimum that would cover the bills for the year and the dues. And then the board payments.
So she's got it to the bare bones is what's...
Yeah, I've removed all miscellaneous funds, anything, there's nothing that they would be able to spend any extra on.
Okay.
Okay.
And I got an email from Derek that he had received from Tracy back in March that the $1,178.92 was the additional amount needed. So that's where the $26,178.92 came from, is from that email.
Well, we'll work with Derek, Tracy. We'll get it figured out.
And again, Commissioners, it was budgeted at 25. last year in the budgeting process, because looking at the expenditures at that time, tracking those, looking forward to this, you know, to what we thought they were going to expend in 23, it looked like 25 would be enough. As I said, if you look back in the county allocation to that fund in 2022, the county only transferred $18,500 of general fund money over to this account, and used up some fund balance at that point in time.
Yeah, but I think to that point, the fund balance is pretty well used up, correct?
No, we would still, even here, there would still be, there would still be about $4,000 in fund balance left.
Okay. So that's where you say we could go to that 27 number and it still wouldn't affect that?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
So it wouldn't affect that 22.5 county contribution.
Okay. We'll vote on this in a minute, but I would like you to readdress the issue with Derek based on the numbers that Tracy just provided us, so that if need be, we can get that other budget amendment taken care of. Any further discussion on 24,072? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lane, yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley.
Yes.
Commissioner Bensing.
Yes.
Commissioner Leininger.
Yes.
Commissioner Ingalls.
Yes.
Passes 5-0. So, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
We'll see you all on Thursday. All right. We have another action item, I believe. Brent?
Yes, resolution 24073. To the Honorable Board of Commissioners, whereas on December 12, 2023, the Hillsdale County Board of Commissioners held a public hearing for the purpose of reviewing the proposed 2024 general fund budget, and whereas the 2024 general fund budget was approved by resolution 23-157, which set forth the intent to levy the county operating millage at 4.8619 mils, subject to constitutional reductions, and whereas after application of the reduction fraction required by MCL 211.34D, the 2023 maximum rate of 4.8619 mils for county operating millage has been reduced by 0.0059 mils to 4.8560, and whereas the Hillsdale County Board of Commissioners, after careful examination of its approved 2024 general fund budget, has determined that to comply with its approval, it will be necessary to levy the maximum county operating millage of 4.8560 mils, and whereas pursuant to MCL 211.24E and MCL 141.436, the board did hold a public hearing on its proposed 2024 budget and specifically complied with Section 16 of the Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act, allowing the board to levy the maximum millage without further hearings. And now therefore be it resolved that the Hillsdale County Board of Commissioners approve the county operating millage of 4.8560 for 2024. And be it further resolved that the board chair and the county clerk are authorized to sign the 2024 tax rate request form L4029 and transmit a copy to each of the 18 townships and 4 cities in Hillsdale County to ensure the spreading of the approved millage on each of the townships and cities' 2024 tax rolls. Respectfully submitted, Brent A. Leininger, Chair, Budget Committee, and I move for adoption.
I support.
Moved and supported. Discussion, please. Any discussion?
I guess
Go ahead.
thank you. I'll just circle back to the discussion that we had when we approved the budget back in December, and that is, Garrett reminding us that it is contingent that that budget would be balanced based on that we did approve this at the time appropriately, that we have to every year, which that is generally the case. So we're just simply, as the resolution reflects, going back to what we did when we had that budget hearing back in December, and we are setting the tax rate appropriately with the budget that we passed then.
Any other comments?
Well, in our current environment, I don't think I would support this. We have too many people with economic struggles. So I should think we'd be able to find that much in the budget somewhere.
When you say that much, Commissioner, what is that much? What is the amount you're
That
talking about?
.0059 mils,
We're
that additional part.
We're reducing the millage by .0059 mils.
It says that you're going to comply with its approval to necessary levy. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Okay, I am sorry. Yep, I got that wrong. Yep.
We're going from 4.8619 down to 4.8560.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I read it wrong. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? For roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes?
Yeah.
Commissioner Benzing,
Yes.
Commissioner Leininger,
Yes.
Commissioner Ingalls,
Yes.
Commissioner Lanius.
Yes.
Passes 5-0, thank you. Please continue, Brent.
All right. So a couple of things. In the packet, that was a scanned copy of the annual report from Wellwise Services, Area Agency on Aging. I provided a physical copy for each of you at your desk today. That was from our annual meeting that occurred last week, Thursday. And again, that gets a little, it's the conclusion of our 50th year, so it was our 49th annual meeting, which, because it occurs at the end of the year in May every year. A reminder that on Wednesday of this week is the 50th, tomorrow, the 50th celebration for Wellwise Services. That's at our office over in Brooklyn. Come and see the beautiful building over there and enjoy the festivities tomorrow afternoon if you have time. Also in the packet was some information that we received at our health department meeting last week regarding ticks. And as I had mentioned at our last meeting, I had heard some comments at a recent meeting about ticks. That paperwork came right from the state of Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. A quick correction on part of that, though, is there's a spot in there where it says that the health department has tick identification packets. That's no longer being provided to the local health departments by the Department of Health and Human Services. Residents can take a picture of a tick if they want an identification of it and send it right to the Department of Health and Human Services for that identification. One thing residents need to continue to be aware of is avian influenza. There's been multiple cases of avian influenza at dairy farms here in the state of Michigan, as well as some poultry operations. Be cautious of your backyard flocks of poultry. If they get avian influenza, it is deathly to chickens, to cattle, especially lactating dairy cattle. They'll go off reduction in milk for a couple of weeks, but generally do tend to recover. There has been the second case in the nation of a human test positive in the state of Michigan. So just something to be cautious of, but it is, for the most part, something that most people will recover from.
I think it's important to note that the food supply as far as milk is safe.
Exactly, completely safe.
And the same way with
And even
any,
for poultry and poultry product, eggs, yeah, that's completely safe.
so that message has not been made totally clear by some media sources.
Yes. And the interesting thing is, if a lot of times when it's found in humans, like the one in Michigan, they didn't detect it from a nasal swab, but they detected it from an eye swab. So the individual had a form of pink eye. So, also in the packet was a report that Derek put together for us on expenditures so far for the year. And with 33% of the year passed, overall on the general fund, we were at 30.23% of the budget expended. He did have some notes there on some items. Just one correction on that. On the second page of that report, account number 901, he had a note that said Lifeways next to that, and that is not true. Correct, there is no Lifeways money in that 901 equipment budget. That is because of the expenditures that we have made for vehicles at the Sheriff's Department. And just because of the timing on that. The other one that I will note on the front page, the 26505 Health Department building maintenance, that budget is completely reimbursed to us from the health department. So if anything that we expend there, because of our lease agreement with the health department requires that they pay for all maintenance, sometimes it's easier for them to use our county maintenance staff for that work. It gets billed through the health department budget and billing, and then we get reimbursed at the county level from the health department on that. So then I want to thank the treasurer for including in the packet the first quarter investment information for us to review and for our citizens to have access to as well. I believe Becky indicated at the health department that she's coming to talk to us in the near future. And at that point in time, she'll be presenting the annual report, and we should be receiving that for all the commissioners here in the county in the near future. So that concludes my report.
When did you remember? I think Becky's going to be here in the second meeting in June.
I'll look it up.
Okay. Yeah, but you are correct. I've got her coming in the very near future. So, okay. Any questions for Brent? All right. Brad, you're up next, sir.
All right, my report is reasonably brief. We have a whole lot since our last meeting, so Commissioner Leininger, in particular note, Addison Fire and EMS, we've had some challenges over the last year or so since the change in administration there, getting the correct reports from them and working with their finance person for the Village of Addison. We now believe we have gotten that corrected. There will be a letter that will be in our next meeting packet from them and a corrected report. It was basically an accounting issue in regard to how those capital equipment funds were being allocated, and that has now been satisfactorily submitted as of like midnight last night. And so that I'm glad to see that we finally got that. My biggest concern with that in having it done was just for continuity, because we don't always sit in these seats, and so in looking at those reports moving forward, that will accurately reflect what the balance, because we require it in our current contract with those agencies for them to report a capital equipment balance, and we just want those numbers to accurately reflect as they change from quarter to quarter to quarter. The 911 board did meet on May the 15th. The elected officers for the coming year, those officers will stay the same, with Dave Broxmeyer as the chair, Dennis McNett from Walden Fire and EMS as the vice chair, and we had a reasonably brief meeting there. Management personnel met last week regarding the grievance from the Sheriff's Department. Chairman Wiley and I have a meeting on June the 4th with the Lenawee County Administrator in regarding the medical examiner's agreement. We continue to try and forge a long-term agreement between Hillsdale, Jackson, and Lenawee County. We need to do some tweaking on that, and so we will be meeting in Lenawee with their administrator on the 4th. I have a medical control meeting next week on June the 6th, and we'll be into June before we know it, and that will renew the cycle of township and village council meetings. And that concludes my report unless there are questions.
Just a comment, I did see some advertisement created by, I believe, the committee for the 911 radio millage, so that is out there
Yes.
on some social media websites. So
I know there was a representative at Pancake Breakfast, my fire department had Saturday morning, that he had some of those, and I believe that Montgomery, that they got copies of that up on their social media. So yes, you are correct that it is circulating now informationally. I know that there were several videos in help from a Hillsdale College student that were produced for that campaign as well. So the public will be seeing those.
So they also have the county logo on that, right? Am I correct on that?
from what I saw, yes,
Yeah.
they did have the county
Yes.
logo on
I
there.
don't think they can have that county logo on that flyer, can they?
I
don't believe
I would
it's-
believe that it is in the public domain, Commissioner. We could check with that, but I believe
I would certainly.
as long as there's no county funds being expended.
Mhm.
So the real prohibition there is the expenditure of any public dollars. So, and they do have, they have a legal entity set up, a campaign committee set up that is filed, and they have their own bank account and their own fundraising mechanisms.
I would just recommend double checking on
Okay.
that to make
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
we're,
Yeah,
we're within the guidelines.
Yeah, the committee wants to make sure that they do everything 100%.
Anything else for Brad? All right, Doug, you're up next, sir.
Okay, thank you. Just a few meetings since our last Board of Commissioners. Hillsdale Township did talk and discuss their estimate for the road work at Lewis Emery Park. Their trustees did approve a 25% match. Again, once the audit is complete, our budget committee will discuss the county's level of participation. The Road Commission is working on Bankers Road. It's a 1.5-inch overlay, should be done the second week of June. They have had 2 manager interviews for new manager. The Road Commission board decided to enter into a contract negotiations with Bob Griffith. So in the next couple of weeks, they'll be hammering that out between Bob and the Road Commission. Bob was chosen of the 2 to be the continued Road Commission manager. As far as materials management, the clock is ticking, as we know. July 6th, we need to have our notice of intent. Since our last meeting, I have sent, with the help of our deputy clerk, letters to Lenawee, Jackson, Calhoun, Branch, and St. Joe counties. I've heard back from Jackson and Lenawee. They have declined. They will be doing their single unit with their material management at this time. Branch County may be interested, I learned this morning, and we'll need to work on St. Joe to get them on board for a 3-county project. Incentive for them is the additional $60,000, which brings the total to $180,000. So it seems that there should be a good talking point there. Sample letters are in today's packet, so you can see what was sent and so on. Commissioner Leininger, you had a question.
Just to comment on that, I know that Ranch and St. Joe have already agreed to participate in a joint plan. And they both, I believe they both agreed that at their meeting last week.
Yes. Thank you. Meetings are being set up for the district court needs. Zoom meetings with Nathan Hall are scheduled. Nathan, if you remember, is National Courts, National Center of State Courts. Meetings have been set up with commissioners, the sheriff, and IT. Judges and facilities will follow. And I will be attending the Active Assailant Conference, Shooters Conference, next Wednesday. I look forward to that event. And that does complete my report for today.
Is this right?
What was the date again on that Zoom meeting with Nathan Hall? Because I believe...
Yours is tomorrow.
What's that?
Tomorrow.
That's what I thought, and I don't.
I can't
It's
remember.
10:30.
What's that? Yeah, I know I've got it wrote down somewhere, but it's not on this
That
calendar.
meeting is scheduled with Commissioner Wiley and Commissioner Benzine. Facilities and public safety.
So that would be on the 29th then. I'm sure I've still got the email, but if not, I'll reach out to you. It's probably wrote on my desktop calendar and never made it to the electronic one, so, all right. Any other questions for Doug? Steve?
Well, I got a little question here on this resolution 24074 on how it's typed up, on how to read it.
Commissioner, if you may, before you get to that, I must declare a conflict of interest on this
Yes, you must.
resolution, and because I potentially stand to gain financially, and I will be removing myself from the board for this resolution and discussion and vote.
All right.
You can either step out or sit there being mute.
Okay, so this isn't written like a regular resolution that we do. So I'm not sure how you want me to read this. It says at a regular meeting of the Hillsdale County Board of Commissioners, Hillsdale County, Michigan, held at the Hillsdale County Board of Commissioners Conference Room, McCollum Street, Hillsdale, 28th day of May, 2024, at 9 o'clock. Okay, it says present. This doesn't make sense to me as a resolution.
Well-
It's made out so that I can enter in the information after the vote has been.
Okay, so where's the resolution to read? I don't have it on here.
Be it
Be it
resolved.
resolved.
Yeah, if you just keep going down, Steve, under the, we're able to
Okay,
vote,
here we go.
be it resolved.
Be it resolved by the Hillsdale County Board of Commissioners as follows, that the board hereby approves the request of Brent A. Leininger Living Trust with the address as follows to enroll the following property in a farmland agreement. Land in the township of Wright County of Hillsdale and state of Michigan identified as Brent A. Leininger Living Trust, 11856 Tuttle Road, Waldron, Michigan, 49288, and the property description is there. That the county clerk is hereby directed to transmit copies of this resolution to the, Department of Agriculture and to notify the applicant. And adopted was yeas and nays, absent. So I would move for adoption of this. This was discussed in as PA 116, if I'm not mistaken,
Yep.
at the Planning Commission, and we passed it at the Planning Commission. We couldn't find anything wrong with it, so I would move for adoption.
I'll support the resolution.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Just my only comment, this is just mostly for the YouTube audience. This is a typical PA 116 application. We would normally approve these under consent. They probably wouldn't even come down to the actual formal resolution. They would simply be done because they are a routine action. However, I'm sure because of the potential conflict with Commissioner Leininger, it was moved down for board action, and so I appreciate that being done very much. But again, this is just a really something that we do all the time for a number of members of the public for farmland property, and so we are, in the interest of complete and total transparency, to remove any potential conflicts. That's why we are actually dealing with this at the committee report level rather than under consent in this particular case.
And I guess for anybody that's not familiar with PA 116, it is a farmland preservation public act. And you're just basically stating that the property under this legal description will be part of
Farmland.
farmland preservation. I mean,
Right.
simply put, the public act is much more wordy, but that's the simple meat of it. So, is there any further discussion? We will do a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Benzing,
Yes.
Commissioner Engels,
Yes.
Commissioner Lanius,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley.
Yes. So it passes 4 with 1 abstained. You may rejoin us, sir. All right. Steve, you got
Okay, so May,
floor yet?
yeah, I got a little bit more, not a lot. So May 15th, I had Michigan Works with Commissioner Engels. We passed a couple of resolutions, one 23-7 for the Going Pro Talent Fund. We were awarded $1,871,723 for the fiscal year 2024 through cycle 1, which is January 1, 2024 through September 30th, 2025. We also passed Resolution 2318, Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. That fund was awarded $175,000. And then we also passed 2319 to amend the meeting schedule for a consortium board to include June 20th meeting to fulfill the Michigan Works Southeast co-operational requirements. On May 15th, as I said, I had a planning commission meeting and an in-depth discussion on House Bill 4461, materials management. And then we decided on July 17th there will be classes on updating the county master plan. As soon as the details are worked out, the county townships and villages will be notified of the opportunities to enroll in these classes. And Nick Wheeler is working on that with Harmony from MSU. So we're looking for some updates on that before we can notify all the villages and stuff on being able to attend those classes to update the master plan. The fee for that individually is, I believe, $50, if I'm not mistaken, on how that will go. So if anybody wants to attend, we'll get details to them for that. And then I had a CAA meeting, Community Action Agency, finally. That was a Zoom meeting, and in the Zoom meeting, we elected the Policy Council, Sandy Valance, as a new chairperson for that. We also had a report on Head Start classes. We had a report on Oriented Management Accountability Report. And then on Thursday, May 30th, at 400 West South Street, Adrian, Michigan, there'll be an open house from 4 to 6. And then we have a board meeting Thursday, May 30th at 4 p.m. in Lenawee District Library Conference Room. And that's all I got for today.
Any questions for Steve? Okay. As I mentioned, we've got DHS on Thursday. Normally it's last week, but they had a conference, or several people were at conference, so they moved it to this Thursday. And I will be going to Wellwise tomorrow. I haven't been up to the new building, so it'll give me an opportunity to see the new building. Last one of these functions I was at the old building. And I would recommend that anyone that hasn't been up there to take advantage of this. But and Abe looked up for me, and Becky will be here on the 25th of June to give her annual report. So, and Brad and I have the department head meeting on Friday morning. And last Thursday, I had the honor of passing out 5 scholarships from Veterans Affairs to 5 students there at Reading High School class night. There were 9 scholarships that we handed out countywide total for $450 each. Now our bucket of money, if you will, for scholarships is from donations. And usually the Legion in Jonesville gives us a sizable amount for that. But if anyone is interested in donating to that scholarship fund, they can donate that money through the office, and there's actually a separate line in our account that Derek helps us to monitor as far as for scholarship funds. So quite often in the past, we've been able to do 500. I think one year we were able to do 800 now. Some of that's based on the number of applications we receive too, because we try and pass them all out. Now, we did have to deny one this year because the way I understand it is he's going to college, but he's actually a junior, so the scholarships are for seniors. So, but he has been told to reapply and he will get it next year. So, but in any event, it's an honor to pass those on to the kids that have relatives, particularly parents or grandparents that have served. So, and that's all I have at the moment, unless there's a question.
Commissioner, one thing, Mr. Ringman and I were talking a little bit last week, and we may need to reach out to the labor relations attorney regarding some questions that have been raised now with the Department of Labor's rules for overtime for salaried workers and raising that threshold.
Right.
So just want to make you aware that we may need to have some questions answered regarding that. So, and something that we need to make sure that we have you stress to department heads is to be very conscious of overtime, especially for salaried individuals, as that dollar threshold is going to increase on July 1st of this year, but then it's going up substantially on January 1st of 2025.
Okay. Well, as soon as you get more information, condense it, and Brad and I will be happy to share that at the department head meeting. So, and if you don't have, I think Derek's got Gary's information, but if not, feel free to reach out and I'll provide you phone number and email, and so she'll be happy to fill you in on the latest on that. Okay, anything else?
One other thing, when is mental care facility going to come and present to us? Do you have that?
Abe can look it up real quick, and this from, you got it, okay. It is your budget request from Lifeways. So you got a copy as well, very good.
Yeah.
First meeting in August, but I haven't confirmed it yet.
I would, with them being, with that operating millage being on the ballot,
Yep,
it would really be nice if they could be here in July
okay.
before that.
Babe and I will look at that, and I will see if Terry's available in July. I don't know if we're booked.
First meeting in July is the only thing we have is the audit, so that should be a quick 5-minute thing. Then we can,
Maybe 10. Okay. So medical care, look at first meeting in July.
So, and I say that so that the public that want to watch our meeting can be better informed as to just exactly what that 6 cents a millage levy does for a medical care facility.
Correct. Yep, good point. Yeah, Abe and I will look at it a little closer, and then I'll reach out to Terry. So, all right. Anything else? That brings us back up to our second public comment. Same rule applies. Anyone wish to address the board? you all for coming. We'll go to additional business. Brent?
It's Doug indicated in the opening prayer, remembrance of Memorial Day. 56 years ago this past weekend, our family buried a family member who was killed in action in Vietnam. So Memorial Day is very precious to our family. We continue to remember those who have given the ultimate sacrifice for this country.
Thank you. Steve?
Expanding on that, Memorial Day isn't just a day, it's every day for everyone. We have freedoms in this country that many people lost their lives to protect, they serve for. I have a couple of close friends of mine right now dealing with Agent Orange that will very soon no longer be with us. And another thing I saw on the internet, we all see things on the internet, a young woman and a very young child sleeping on a blanket in the cemetery at the headstone of a fallen soldier. And if that doesn't touch your heart, you don't have one.
I saw the same thing, yeah. Thank you. Doug?
A couple items. Commissioner, your meeting is Wednesday, 10:30 to 11:15, to Zoom with Nathan Hall. And City of Hillsdale is having two events coming up on June 15th, a day of celebration in downtown Hillsdale with the historic steam engine. Nickel-plated number 765 will be here, which is one of the last mainline steam engines operating in North America. They'll be here noon to 3 p.m. and at Mrs. Stocks Park, the 125th year anniversary celebration with live musicians, kids games, art show inside the park, and an ice cream social. So big celebration on June 15th, which is in 2 weeks on Saturday.
Okay, thank you. Brett?
Good turnout for our pancake breakfast at Woodbridge. Number of wonderful Memorial Day celebrations around the district. Woodbridge and Ransom both have very nice ones. Of course, many of the other municipalities. And it is always nice that we continue to remember those who have given their lives to the service of our country. Every year on Memorial Day, we do an outstanding job here in our community in doing so.
There is 639 acres. Makes up Arlington Cemetery. And I think most of us either know someone or have a family member. I know 5 of my uncles served in World War II. They're all gone now, but only one of them, fortunately, died in combat somewhere around the Battle of the Bulge. But it is a day to remember, and I think it's important, as we've all indicated, that they've paid for the freedom that we have today. And I think another message, I indicated that memorial service at the Capitol. One of the messages that was stated that I'll repeat and encourage you to view it, but reach out to veterans that are alive today, the ones that are struggling to reintegrate into society or struggling with PTSD. We are still nationwide struggling with an issue of veteran suicide. And so sometimes just taking a few minutes to listen to them might change the course of their day. So unfortunately, suicide is prevalent among veterans as well as others, but reach out. So anyways, 10 o'clock, we don't have anything else to do other than adjourn. Thank you all for coming.